Alright, welcome back to Shot of Weeb. We never learned an intro, so we just say what comes to mind. I'm the Epic Wob.
And I'm the Seaweed Ambassador. I actually took notes this time.
Very unusual. But it means he types his, so they might actually be legible.
Well, I hope I can read the font that I used. If not, I've drank way too much.
I hope I can read mine. I never can. This week was the week where we're off to a good start.
You can do it. You can do it, dog. I believe in you.
We are on the episode where we both got together and chose a show that neither of us have seen. Mm-hmm. We watched Classroom of the Elite this week, which I had thought aired like just this season or recently, but according to analysts, it was 2017. So apparently, I'm just objectively wrong.
No, I remember it feels like it wasn't that long ago.
Back in 2017, when things made sense.
Oh god, back in 2017 when we were still in college.
We were still in college. I didn't switch majors. I hadn't switched specialization yet. I was doing news and hating it.
I was in the middle of switching my major.
Wait, you switched major?
Point. Yeah, I was a programmer at first.
I legit didn't know that. I'm a bad friend.
Yeah, I was a game major, bro. I was a real
gamer.
I was a gamer. Anyways, let's get to this anime. Okay, I want to start off. I know we normally save this for the end, but I want to get this out of the way. What did you think about this show?
Wait, it is really early for that.
Yeah. I
think that my thoughts on the show were interesting, but nowhere near as aggressive as yours seemed to be. You were...
What was your rating?
Full disclosure, haven't rated it yet. Why are we giving it a rating 2 minutes in?
Because I think this is important for the context of all of what I'm about to say for the next time. Well,
it wasn't like the best thing I've ever seen, but it definitely wasn't.
Right.
It definitely wasn't atrocious. I'm trying to. I wasn't expecting to need this till the end, so I don't have the scale I usually refer to pulled up. I'm getting it.
I'll go with mine then. This was trash. Absolute garbage. It's a 2 out of 10. Terrible show. Do not watch this. Just listen to us rag on this show for the next hour and a half, 2 hours, however long this episode's going to be. I wrote so many notes on this show, and I hate it so much. It's not egregious. It didn't offend me, which is why it's not a 1, because that's what a 1 is. A 1 is offensive to me. This is a 2. A 2. That means it wasn't even strong enough to offend me.
Oh, man. Don't say we're going to rag on this show, because I certainly didn't.
Oh, boy. Hopefully I can change your mind.
What? Why do you hate this so much? I was going to be giving it a... Let's see. I've got the scale I usually have pulled. This would be, by my rating, a 6 or a 7. Which means I definitely enjoyed watching it overall, but it's not anything that blew me away. And frankly, I'm probably going to forget about it.
So I wrote in my notes, I wouldn't have finished episode 1 on my own. And then my next note right after that is, I've just finished episode 3, and this show is insufferable. It's not even fun bad like King's Game was.
If you hate the show so much, why is this the first series we've done on the show that you finished watching before me?
Because I wanted to get it over with. But it also took me 3 days to watch this show.
Wow, I did not expect this much hatred. I don't want to... I don't know where to go with this. Holy crap.
Do you want to talk about we're going to have an interesting discussion here. One side is going to be... It seems like one side's going to be defending and one side is going to be What's it called?
Defending. I'm like, this was an
Attacking.
okay anime. This was very alright. You seem to have a burning hatred for this.
Everything about it sucks, except for a couple things.
I disagree. I think it was on the low end of good. Like, if you break up the scale into bad shows, average shows, and good shows, this is on the border of average to good, trending toward average.
Really? Why do you say that? Why do you say that?
Well, because I have a simple brain and enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed a lot of the characters within it. I liked the look of the show. It was very clean. And there were... I mean, this wasn't some kind of mess like Devilman Crybaby. I think he just died.
Devilman Crybaby has really good animation.
I hated it.
What are you talking about?
I couldn't get into... This is not the show we're talking about.
Art style. You don't like the art style. This show, all of the characters, the designs are awful for every character.
What? No, I loved them. I liked the two-tone hair that
really?
like everybody had.
Wow, I love basic gradients on hair that I can do in Adobe After Effects. I love that, and it looks like garbage. It looks like they dipped their hair in septic water.
I mean, it's better than, oh look, where's the main character? Whoops, blue.
What are you talking about?
Every anime everywhere. You can always spot the main character because they have some kind of... Like, freaking... Kill la Kill's the first one that comes to mind, but that barely counts because, like, the red streak, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not that common. That's just like a meme. Goku?
It's
really?
all pointy! Look, I'm not bringing in...
Have you seen any other character in Dragon Ball? They're all pointy. What are you talking about?
No, I've not.
The gradient on the hair is garbage. Everybody looks generic. And I wrote this in my notes as well. I can think of at least 2 other characters that look similar but are more interesting for every single character in this show.
Honestly, I think the characters are one of the better parts of the show. I loved their designs. I legitimately did. Especially some of the more interesting ones. Like, I don't think we're going to talk about her because she was barely relevant, but Sakayanagi, according to this.
Oh yeah, you funny you bring her up. Funny you bring her up. Do you mean the girl from Inspector Kotoko Iwanaga?
You mean that show I've never heard of?
It came out this year. Oh man, she also has a cane and everything, except this girl didn't do anything.
But she has a cute hat and runs a gang.
So does the other girl. She literally controls spirits. She's the queen of yokai.
I don't know. And then there's Tired Man. The main character just looks tired all the time, and it's great.
Yeah, it's the worst.
It's
Issei
so
is so much better. Issei is so much better of a design, and they look very similar. Issei's design has character. This design, yeah, you're right. He does just always look tired. That was one of my notes. Looks like he's about to fall asleep at all times.
Yeah, and that's a mood and a half. I love it.
Oh yeah, I really love to watch my anime based on a mood. It's definitely how I enjoy my characters.
Sakura, fun character, glasses, pink twin tails. Like you've got.
Oh yeah, no, that character right there, she was big brain. I gotta say, her design, big brain. Pink hair for Sakura. You know, cherry blossoms that are pink. That's like.
What are you on about?
Huge brain move. Huge brain right there.
I don't know what you're on about.
A Sakura is a cherry blossom. That's what it is.
I didn't know that!
They're pink. And they're pink. Well, now you do, and now you can see how simple these designs are.
What about freaking blonde Gaston over here? Freaking...
That didn't do anything the entire show and looks ugly as hell.
I loved the design of the Class D teacher. All of the teachers were great. Like freaking Pointy Man for Class C. Class B was just the chillest vibe ever.
Okay, so that teacher reminded me of a teacher from Azumanga Daioh, which you aren't gonna know. The main teacher was boring. I was gonna write a section about her, and then I couldn't think of anything worth saying in my notes.
I don't know how to respond to this. You're so aggressive today.
This show is so bad.
It wasn't that bad.
It was so bad. It was so bad. This show, oh man, I can't believe that you enjoyed this show at all.
I'm legitimately want a second season to come around. I want to know where this goes.
Oh my god, just read the light novel then.
I can't read. We've been over this.
Season. Yeah, I know. And you didn't even know what manhwa was.
Do you want... Look.
Oh god.
Do you want to at least talk about the basic premise instead of just ragging on characters for no good reason?
No good reason? Every one of these characters is a trope. Oh, okay.
You're
just
a trope.
Go with the premise. Yeah, I am. But at least I'm not as bad as these people. I have a personality.
So what's the show about, Seaweed?
What is it about? What is it about? You tell me, because I'm too aggressive.
I don't know. I've been deflated.
Okay, all right.
So these people are at a high school, but it's like a fancy high school that, like, if you go here, you'll get a job. I guess?
Mm-hmm.
Question mark.
Yeah,
and
it's like the high school for the elite.
And they all go into it, and they get separated into 4 classes. They've got A, B, C, and D, and Class D.
Yep.
What?
I just said yes.
I thought you said no.
No.
I'm forgetting basic facts. No, and we got 4
boy.
classes, and our main character and the main girl are in Class D.
And Class D is like the loser class. Like it's apparently where like the
Defective is the word the subs
defective.
used.
Yeah, use that for me as well.
And they wire everybody a bunch of money. They're like, you can buy everything at the school, anything you could want. And they wire everybody effectively $1,000.
Yeah,
I think is about what it comes out to.
10,000 points, and each point was worth a yen.
And they just like,
or no, it was 100,000 points.
100,000. Yes, 100,000. Everyone's like, "Wow, it's so much money. We're gonna get this per month." And a bunch of people blaze through it in the first month, and they're like, "Ha, plot twist! You got to earn your money." And Class D gets no money for the second month because they sucked.
Yes,
and
okay,
just like
so going off that, let's stop here. Did you see that coming?
No.
Really?
I'm a very simple man, my guy. I fall for easy plot twists.
It's not even like a plot. I mean, I guess technically it is a plot twist, but like, it was so basic. Like, it was not anything. Like, I've seen that so many times in like so many different kinds of media that like it wasn't. But they tried to play it off as this like big thing, and like spent like half an episode on it.
Yeah, because they like showed that like most of Class D was just like straight skipping class and goofing off.
They
and
weren't
whatever.
skipping it; they were just like sleeping through it and like on their phone.
Well, no, because when the teacher went on a rant, she was
true.
like
That's
90
right.
something combined absences.
That's right. They were skipping class. I forgot about that bit.
There's some bro gaming in class. There's a dude reading manga in class.
Yeah.
And so they get no money, and Class A gets a butt ton of money because they're the rich kids.
Well, because they actually took it seriously.
Kind of. I feel like there's also some shady stuff, but I can't prove it. I don't know. That's what the message was.
Well, they also like are just Class A, so they already get more money in the first place. But also, we don't know anything about Class A. Class A is the one we know the least about.
Yeah, because that's like the top tier. And it's revealed that classes can become higher classes by earning more points than higher classes to go up in class and be a higher class.
Yeah, and Class D has never done that.
Because Class
In the
D
history of
sucks.
school.
They put all the bad people in Class D and they say, you suck. I made a note. There was like an actual psychogel story about, like, if you put people in a classroom setting in a group and they specifically tell one group, hey, you guys are last, you're the bottom group, y'all suck, they're going to continue to be last.
Yeah.
Like, so that's this classroom of the elite. by having the structure system is making the system structure itself in.
Uh-huh.
Was that an English sentence? I'm not entirely sure.
I think it was an English fragment. I don't think you actually finished that sentence.
Look, man, I'm really getting involved in one of the two premises of this podcast.
Yes, I can tell. Okay, so let's talk about that, right? Let's talk about that psychology bit here.
Okay.
Because every episode starts with a quote from either a psychologist or some uppity literature.
Yeah,
right?
because
Like,
there were a couple
Dante's
from
Inferno
plays.
was
The
in there.
Dante one was the one I noticed.
Yeah. Okay. Did that not seem up its own ass to you?
No.
For the basic story that it was telling?
It didn't feel that basic to me. I hadn't really seen much like this. I mean,
Oh, I
full
forgot you
disclosure.
hadn't finished Death Note.
Okay, look, simmer down. Full disclosure, I was the one who suggested this show for the running of this episode.
Yeah. Basically, we both put in two different shows, and then we kind of agreed on which would be which, like which one we would do. And I thought this one sounded interesting.
Yeah, because honestly, I had misunderstood the premise and thought it was going to be more shonen.
Yeah, you thought it was going to be a battle show for some reason. I'm not sure why.
Look, because the description was like they can ascend their rank through any means, and I'm like, oh, they're going to fight for rank.
Mm-hmm.
Plot twist, they didn't.
No, they didn't. There's only 2 fights in this whole show, and it's the only time the animation looks decent.
But it turned out to be a lot more of a psych show, which is completely okay. That's my cup of tea. I love these. I like psych shows, and I like anime. I mean...
Says the guy who hasn't finished Death Note.
Look, get a new joke, Fivehead.
Well, okay, I bring up Death Note, okay, because it's irrelevant. It's very relevant.
Alrighty, go for it.
Do you remember, in your watch through of Death Note, how in the middle of the episode, when it would go to commercial break or whatever, there would be a rule. They would put.
It would show a relevant rule from the Death Note. Yes, they did the same thing with this show. They show a relevant rule regarding the school.
Did they? Were those rules relevant? And did they need to put those there?
I mean, I don't think they needed to put the Death Note ones there either. It's a transition.
No, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, though, right? With the Death Note rules, you didn't get those anywhere else throughout the whole show, or even in the manga. You might get the first one, the first few, writing somebody's name in this note will, you'll die. But they give you quite a few at first, and then they started going to one, and it became more specific. But this one, the only rules. First off, the rules were so long that midway through them, I just didn't care.
Yeah, I didn't have the opportunity to read most of them.
But the ones that I did finish reading, they had already explicitly stated in that episode. So it felt so off. Oh god, it felt so they didn't apply directly. And they weren't new information that would help you deduce what's going on, how the main character's thinking.
Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest.
Stuff you already knew.
Even if it had been something to help you deduce, I still wouldn't have caught on. So this didn't really bother me.
But
it was more of a reminder of hey, this is the relevant rule. Don't forget it. And for a small brain man like me, that helps a lot.
But it would have been made the show, if the show's trying to be a psychological show, which is clearly what it was trying to be, it would have made it so much more interesting if the rules had directly applied to the episode and weren't repeats of something almost word for word that other characters had said in that same episode. Because that's only 12 minutes into the episode.
That is half of a 24-minute episode, yeah.
Right, but you would agree with that, right? If somebody says, if the teacher says something that's a rule, and then 12 minutes, and let's say that's even at the beginning of the episode. Let's say that's the first thing you hear. You're not going to forget that fully 12 minutes later.
I can see where you're coming from with this, but it legitimately didn't bother me at all.
I mean, maybe it didn't bother you, but it really felt like they were trying to like make it seem whole. No, I don't want to say it yet. It made it seem like they were trying to make it seem like more, more like big brain than it actually was.
Okay, it's not hard for a show to pretend to be big brain and have me think it's big brain. I thought this was mildly big brain because there were twists. There were twists that eluded me. There was also some dumb stuff that I was just like, why is this here?
Okay,
like we got some filler in the second half for sure.
What are some of the twists that stumped you that you didn't see coming?
I mean, at the end when they were just like, Class D has earned all of the points from the island, and I was like, wait, what? How? And then I just sat in like legitimate interest as they revealed like how main man plot twist had done like all of this side legwork and caused all the problems over the last like 3 episodes to effectively win the game. And I thought it was really cool. I hadn't seen most of it coming. Most of it.
I saw every single thing coming.
I would like to tell a minor anecdote to give you an idea of how much of a shut down and watch a show kind of person I am. Myself and one other friend from college, my freshman year, watched Now You See Me 2. It was a very dumb movie, very goofy movie, and there's a lot of I
haven't seen that one yet.
A lot of very predictable elements in it, and a lot of very over the top elements in it. From what I remember, it's been several years. I'm a little rusty. We finished watching it, and my friend's response was, "Wow, that was stupid. It was so excessive, and it didn't make sense. And there was a bunch of stuff that was just performance and no actual substance." And my response was, "Yeah, but it looked cool though." This show looked cool, and so it worked for me.
I just can't see how this show looked cool to you. I legitimately don't understand.
I am not a clever man. There was not a point
in this show. Like, there wasn't even a point at the show where I looked at it and said, "Oh, this looks good."
There was only one like thing I saw in advance, and I legitimately don't remember what it was. I mean, if we start like working our way through the story, I'll probably remember what the one thing I did come across ahead of was, but like most of this I didn't really get the hang of. Like at the end, when the Class C person, I should have seen this coming. I should have seen that she was the spy, but she was like convincing enough that I'm like, oh yeah, no, she just got kicked out. It's chill.
Yeah, she was clearly a spy. Like, why else would? I mean, like that didn't make any sense.
No, well, I mean, because they'd already established that she and the Class C leader had been fighting from like when they were on the ship, and he just like yeeted her away. So I'm like, okay, they got in a disagreement, and she went rogue. I'm okay. I buy that.
Okay, but then why was there only one other Class C member, and they decided to go to Class B?
Because I'm dumb and did not catch on to that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, obviously they were both spies. And
no, I didn't catch on to the Class B thing because that was breezed over like really quickly. Can I just say, by the way, Class B is so chill, and it's the group I'd want to be in. Like, they didn't care.
Oh no, they really are. Yeah, they were the most chill. They didn't get into any issues.
Because D was a bunch of idiots plus a handful of shifty people. C, I don't know, they wanted to be cool, and then A was all the rich snobby kids.
Yeah. Well, C was just a bunch of assholes.
Yeah, basically.
They were trying to do anything to get better.
With one exception.
To fight and...
With one exception.
Who's the one exception?
Unsarcastically, my favorite character, even though he has like 4 lines, is Albert, the big black man that follows the Class C leader around and like talks random English lines.
Okay. I didn't really like his character.
No, I loved him. It was so dumb, and I thought it was hilarious. And they're like, Class C rep is being all like angry, like, you failed me on this one job, and Albert's like, boss's orders, don't hate me, and just kicks the guy. I'm just like, oh, he's so good.
Okay. I understand where you're coming from. I didn't like that character. I don't know. It felt like it was, I mean, he was the only black guy in the entire show, and that's the role he was relegated to.
That's fair. I legit didn't think of that. That's a fair criticism.
I didn't like that at all because everybody else was Japanese. But like
this is also in Japan.
It's in Japan.
From what I understand, a lot less diverse than the States.
Very, very much so. Yeah. So like that's why it's like not a huge thing for me. But I just didn't like that he was the only one who he only spoke English for some reason. I didn't understand why he only spoke English and how he was also in Class C, how he was above D and he didn't speak Japanese.
I mean, presumably he speaks Japanese because like he responds to the other people, like he knows what they're saying.
Well, like from what I understand, it's easier. I don't speak a second language, but from what I've heard from people who do, it's easier to understand another language than to actually speak it.
Yeah, definitely.
So like he could understand Japanese, but he might not be able to like speak it.
At least not well.
Right. Exactly.
Potentially, that's possible.
Yeah, that's like that's just a theory.
I don't know. Anime theory. Don't copyright us.
Nope, you can't because we said anime. Okay, so yeah, I mean, his character was like just kind of fine. I didn't like him for that reason, but like I can understand why you would like him.
Yeah, no, it was dopey, and I thought it was hilarious because it was dopey.
Yeah, I know you're a fan of English, as it's called.
Look, JoJo's Part 3 had an effect on me.
Part 3?
Yeah, Part 3 is where most of the English was, where some of the worst English was.
Oh my god!
Because it had Old Man JoJo, and it had, I don't know, like Darby Jr. and Senior.
Yeah, that's true. The Darby brothers did. Yep. Okay.
I can't wait. Anyways, I can't wait till we talk about JoJo's. It's gonna be a long time, but I can't wait.
Don't tease people. It's gonna be so long.
We talk about anime. JoJo's is the anime. We'll get there eventually.
Yeah, eventually. Anyways, okay. So we're okay.
We have talked. We have not advanced the plot at all.
Okay, so this yeah, so basically they find out they can't get anything, like they don't get any more points. So this is back to the beginning of the show. They don't get any more points because they were bad.
Yes. Yeah, and then they tell you that like if you earn more points in a higher class, you automatically swap classes, which we never actually end up seeing that happen.
Yes, which is another gripe I have with the show.
I mean, the final episode teases that it might happen with the fact that D won first place points, but that was in like a side activity, so it's not enough to overtake as a whole.
And also, it was completely done by one person.
I think that's kind of the point, though, because the main character... So the main character is like played off as the super trustworthy dude and the super tired dude. He just like does things because people ask him and not because he wants to put in actual effort. But like almost everybody in Class D has a second half to their personality. And we can tell there's a lot there with the main character whose name is
Ayana Koji.
Ayana Koji. He has a janky name. And we know there's like some jank in his background because we keep seeing flashbacks to when he was a kid, but we have no clue what those mean. Those don't get resolved in the first season.
Do you want to know what those reminded me of? I don't know why. Are you going to
reference another anime I've never seen?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to reference another anime. So like there's this episode in Sugar Pine 7. Right? Okay, like hear me out. There's this episode where we get James D'Angelo's backstory. And like how he's not a real water warrior, but he meets a real water warrior, and that's what it reminded me of. I don't know why. I mean, I love Sugar Pine 7, my literal favorite YouTube channel. But like,
yeah, I remember you showing me them once.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like that's what it reminded me of, but like also it didn't. So like I got kind of good vibes from that, but not really.
Mm-hmm. Also in regards to point system, before my brain forgets about this, it's not a person-by-person point system, which in my opinion would make so much more sense. It's class as a whole, so if you're stuck with bad people, you're just screwed.
Mm-hmm. But that also goes back to your thing of, like, if this class is stuck, then they're, like, if you tell a class they're bad, they're going to be bad, and so, like, if they're already D class and they're being told they're bad, they're not going to get any better, so, like, why would they get more points?
They've also already got like some super problematic people though. We've got Pseudo who can't go 10 seconds without starting a fight.
Well, he just like yells a lot, but that's part of the system.
Sudo's an
It's like
angry
the
man.
bad
He's
people get
Bakugo.
placed. He's not Bakugo.
He's Bakugo minus the explosions.
Bakugo's smart.
That's questionable.
No, it's not. I'm not getting into this debate now, though. I'm not even that big of a fan of My Hero Academia, but I won't take that slander.
I never got around to watching season 4 because I fell out of anime. Actually, I don't know if I should admit this, given that I'm doing an anime podcast, but I all out stopped watching anime for half a year before we started this podcast because I had very little time, and I'm a video games kind of person, and so if I had the opportunity in my spare time between gaming and anime, I would pick gaming. So I just fully fell out of this circle for a long time.
That's fair. I mean, I'm caught up on both the manga and the anime, but that's because I like anime more than games, though I am a bit of a gamer. Don't roast me.
Pro gamer up in here.
I still have over 100 games in my Steam account, so I'm not like a fake gamer. But I prefer watching something to playing something.
I nearly let gaming get in the way of this. I was like, okay, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to watch Classroom of the Elite. I watched 2 episodes and then played StarCraft 2 for 2 hours. Or 8 hours.
Yeah. I watched episode 1 and had to sleep because it was too dumb.
You're just like, I'm out.
Yeah, basically.
No, I kind of dug this. I was really interested. This style, this genre of show is absolutely up my alley. So I was really interested to see what happened.
I mean, I'll give you this, okay? I don't think it's a good show. I'm not going to just completely shame you for liking this, right? Because
you have plenty of other things that you shame me about.
Right, exactly. Not finishing Death Note. And I will beat that horse until it's dead twice.
It's been dead for 2 episodes.
Good. I'll keep resurrecting it. But one of my favorite genres is the harem genre.
We know.
So it's
surprising that we've not talked about any of those yet because I have a soft spot for that as well.
Unless you choose it on your next one, it's going to be at least 3 episodes.
Yeah, honestly.
So,
don't tempt me. I don't know. Don't make me pull a Monster Musume. I'll do it.
Oh, God. Again. Anyways. So, I understand, I like bad stuff as well. And, I don't know. God, that sounded like a roast. It wasn't meant to be a roast. Telling you just like bad things. Because
hey Wob, your tastes suck.
I mean, Data Live I think is great, but I also know it's bad.
I'll watch that eventually. My old roommate was obsessed with it.
I mean, I really like it, but I also know it's bad, but at the same time, I can't just say it's bad.
Look,
God, that makes no sense at all.
I completely get what you're talking about. You're talking to someone who's one of his favorite anime, unsarcastically, is Domestic Girlfriend. I think I can understand having bad taste.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So we each have our own version of bad taste, and this just happens to fit into yours.
I don't. No, but oh dear. See, here's the thing.
Oh God, we're dying.
I can. The Rona has invaded. I can admit when a show is bad taste. I can admit Domestic Girlfriend is not going to be everyone's cup of tea because of the style of it. But this show, I legitimately went into this. I knew you had a lot to say about it, but I didn't know what the lot to say was. I thought it was a very average show. I did not expect you to rail on it as hard as you are.
It wasted my time.
You wasted your time.
No, because we agreed on this show. I wasn't just going to stop after 1 episode.
You just walk into the podcast recording section and you're just like, yeah, I didn't like it, so I didn't finish it.
Yeah, I only watched 10 minutes of this show. No, but I have some other things to say about it. And I think I will be honest at episode 5. So this will be interesting to you, I think. At episode 5, I said, this is in my notes. All I put is boring Danganronpa. Because that was the episode with the trial.
Wait,
Right.
did it have the... Yes, it did have the trial, and main
Episode
character...
5 and 6 was the trial, and like Pseudo had gotten into a fight, and like against Class C.
Class C
was
had
saying
like
he
framed him,
instigated it.
yeah.
Right, they'd framed him essentially, and like we knew that he'd framed him and everything. And like that was the worst part of it, that we knew. If we didn't know that they'd framed him, it would have been much more interesting, because we didn't know that, or like, because we didn't really know much about him except that he was a loudmouth and he looks like a rebel.
Yeah, and then Sayaka...
So like it
or,
would,
geez.
if they hadn't shown that like he had been set up, it would have made it so much more interesting.
That's a
Wouldn't
fair
you agree?
criticism. I can acknowledge that. I didn't really think of that, but I can definitely acknowledge that. And then they had to,
And
like,
then-
bluff it
okay.
out of them, because Sayaka... It's not Sayaka! Dang it! Stop bringing up Danganronpa. I'm going to think of those characters instead.
Okay, so if it's not clear, we're both really big fans of Danganronpa.
Yeah, we established this in a previous episode.
Did we? Okay, well, it's clear now. Crystal.
Not Sakura. So Sakura and Suzune both have names that are vaguely close to Sayaka, so I kept getting it wrong even when I was watching it, especially with Sakura.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, Sakura is literally a Danganronpa name. Why did I forget about that?
Yeah.
How can I...
She's the big buff girl.
Yeah, how can I forget about the ogre? She's the best.
I don't know. I call Suzune Horikita.
Horikita, yeah, Horikita, but then I call the glasses girl, the fake glasses girl, Sakura.
Yeah, I call her Sakura as well.
So Sakura was the witness, but she's shy except for when she's taking lewd pictures of herself, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, that's like a normal trope, I think. I've seen that a lot.
Is it? I've never seen that before, I'll be honest.
Okay, well, that's fair. That's fair. I've seen a lot more than you have.
I've only seen like 60 shows.
I think I'm at like 670 or something now.
Jeez, you have a problem. Well, anyway, this was the same episode where freaking
682.
Horikita like completely checks out, and they're like, "Hey, you need to do the lawyer thing." So he just like tickles her in the middle of the quote unquote courtroom, which was super dumb but also very hilarious to me.
Yeah.
This was also the same
That was
episode. This was
fine.
also the same episode where like we find out how chill Class B is, because the Class B teacher legit just shows up to class drunk and doesn't do anything helpful.
Well, she has a hangover.
Yeah, such a bad
Just
one.
like we will tomorrow.
I have never had a hangover.
I actually haven't either. Yeah, that was a joke. I know how to stop them.
I don't know, wake up like a human being. It's probably because I sleep like stupid late as it is.
Probably. Anyways, yeah, but like she's like, I think I would have enjoyed the tickling thing, how he tickled her more, if he didn't explain it. If there wasn't this inner monologue, because that ruined it for me.
Yeah, because he has this
Because
like
it,
inner monologue bit where he's like, and a strong external stimuli will wake up someone who's completely spaced out.
Yeah, it made him sound like a nerd.
I mean,
don't
he
like
kind of
nerds.
was. He was a jock nerd.
Yeah, which also didn't make sense. I don't know.
Basically, the vibe that we get from him, I'd like to detour a little bit and talk about multiple characters here.
Okay.
So like most of the characters, including the main character, including Ayano Koji, all have like the second side to them. And Ayano Koji, his thing is like he's super talented at like all these different things, but he does his best to hide it and try to be just like an average dude. He's in Class A. He's clearly Class A material, but he's like, I don't want to get to A. He wants to hang out in Class D for some reason. We see that with a couple of other characters. We mentioned Sakura, who's like super shy, but plot twist, she's like the social person. Semi-social? I don't think she's actually social. Never mind.
She's social online. She's like online social,
She's
but
this-
in person she's not.
Yeah, she's this online
Which is-
celebrity, and she tries to hide it by wearing like fake glasses and being the average shy anime girl. Is there a term for that? Is there a term for that kind of character?
Probably. I don't know what it's called.
Oh, you're a weeb. You're supposed to know this. And then we see the same thing with Kikyo Kushida. I forget which name I remember her by. I wrote down in my notes that she was foxtail hair because it went from like blonde to white at the ends. Or blonde to dark yellow, something like that.
Yeah, because it changes all the time. The gradient doesn't even stay the same.
Yeah, the gradient did shift around a little bit. I didn't really notice that, but I do acknowledge it now that you mention it. Yeah, the hair shifted a bit. Because there was one character that I thought would be more important, and his hair was like silvery blonde, but then goes to green, but then the green was gone sometimes.
Yeah, Uh-huh.
But
And also Kushida is also, this is what I wrote, because God, I hope you guys know that we're gonna spoil everything about this show.
if you are watching a Shot of Weeb, expect spoilers at any time because we
Yeah,
bounce
good
around all
night,
over the
please.
place.
Yeah. Anyways, this I wrote, so for I wrote notes for 5 characters. And for every one of them, I gave them I put in quotations their trope. And her trope is girl with big tits and a perky personality that hides a darker one underneath.
Okay,
Because that's such a common thing.
let's be real.
Maybe not the
Every
big
girl
tits
in
thing.
this show was big tits. That's not really a descriptor here, except for the main girl.
Hers were massive and were constantly, like, that was constantly of note.
Yes, I did actually make a note of that. I feel like it got lesser in the later episodes, but in the first few episodes, they did like keep drifting the camera there.
Because her darker personality literally doesn't matter. In the entire show, it makes no difference. If she would have had the same personality and like the same perky personality throughout the entire show, it wouldn't have changed anything.
If the show continues into a second season, and I've already said this, if it goes to a second season, I will absolutely watch it. I'm very interested to see if they can develop the story further. If they go into a second season, I hope they play off of that. But they didn't in the first season. It's built up for later. Basically, main character follows talkative girls. Her thing is that she's social and knows literally everybody.
She's literally Gintaro Kisaragi, the main character of Kamen Rider Fourze, and she wants to be friends with everyone, except he was likable, and he also became the live-action Ichigo Kurosaki in the live-action Bleach movie, and he's sick. He's my favorite Japanese actor, or one of them.
I don't think
go watch that movie. It's a good movie.
I don't think most of that was real sentences. Either way, they're hanging out. Talkative girl leaves her phone in main guy's room, so he follows her to go take it to the waterfront where she's at. And she does a complete personality 180 and goes on about how she hates Hio main girl.
Horikita.
Goes on about how she hates Horikita and kicks the railing and then notices him and is just like, "Hey, did you hear that? That's not me. That's totally not me. Pfft, I don't know what you're talking about."
But then she also says, "Yeah, if you tell anybody, I'm going to say that you me."
I was going to avoid using the word, but yes, that's what.
Okay, sorry. You can censor that word. I'll re-say that sentence.
Don't. Whatever.
Are you sure?
She goes to.
Okay.
I can do editing. I'm an editor.
Okay, but basically, she says that he assaulted her.
Yeah, and forges proof by grabbing his hand and placing it on the boob.
And she's like, "Yeah, now your fingerprints are on me."
So you can't tell anyone that I'm psychotic because then they'll think you're a criminal.
Yes.
That whole sequence made me uncomfortable. I did not like that.
I just really didn't like how it didn't play into the rest of the story. If you introduce that aspect of a character, I feel like that should come into play in especially the last arc of the show. Is this big island arc. Is 3 episodes long, I think.
Yeah, and it's 3 or 4.
A quarter of the show. It's either a quarter or a third of the show.
Yeah.
And that personality never comes into play. And that would have made the show so much more interesting.
That is definitely... I wholeheartedly agree with that.
If he knows about that. And she comes over to his room all the time and never acts like that, though. And that would have been a way for her to relieve stress, to get rid of her fake persona that she has.
I will absolutely agree with you on this. I had that same thought where I wish that they had dabbled with it more, because we only see angry side of her twice more, and it's never more than a couple of sentences before she's like, "Never mind, we're good."
Before she's back into her annoyingly high-pitched voice.
I do kind of wish they'd played off of that more. I can understand wanting to keep it for a later season, but I do wish they'd at least use it, because there were several times where the two of them were together. I'm just like, look, are you gonna ask her about it? Because there's no one else here, and then he just doesn't. But I think that's also part of because the main character is trying to raise as little notoriety as possible. He's trying so hard to lay low, even though he's clearly a cut above everyone else there.
Yeah, because it was said in episode 2 or. I think it's episode 2, where the student council president says like that he made 50s on every test.
Yeah,
exactly a 50.
Yeah, and they call him
like,
on that.
Obviously, yeah. Like, what's the thing? There's like I think it's a movie, or it's either a movie or a TV show, where this guy,
they did that.
He like gets a 0
minor spoilers.
On a
they
test.
do that at the beginning. Yeah, they do that at the beginning of Spider-Man Multiverse Shazam-Rama.
That's right. That's what it is. Yeah. Spider-Verse. He gets a 0 on the test, so he can drop out of that like special prep school.
And they're like, "Aha! Your pranks won't work on me."
Obviously, you got a 100 because you knew every answer and you were able to get a 0. And
yeah, because they were all like two question.
Exactly. It was all multiple choice. And like I hated that about this, because like why would the teachers not see that and put him in a higher class? Because they're like, oh, clearly if he made a 50 on everything, then yeah, obviously he.
I think that's kind of fair though, because we know that like Pseudo wound up near 50 on like everything. He averaged like 40s and 60s.
No, but that's the difference though. He averaged that, whereas the main character
he hit a hard 50 on everything.
Exactly. On everything.
That's fair.
Which is, the statistical probability of that is like near impossible.
That's fair. I'll grant you that.
Yeah. And like they should have granted him, or they should have put him in a higher class.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
If he's that smart to be able to like get a 50, why would he not try to play around with the score so it made it look more natural?
Yeah, I did think about that, because like all 50s, that's going to raise suspicion. You should.
Exactly.
Yeah, even I came up with that, and it's hard for me to catch on to these things, so, like, fair. That is a completely valid criticism. Most of the rest of the stuff about the main character, I really dig. Like, I like whenever someone tries to fight him, and he just, like, casually dodges it, or when main girl, like, body slams the man who put mud on her, and he just, like, sneakily stops him from, I don't know, dying.
Yeah, because he would have smashed his head on the rock. The thing, though, about that I didn't like, right? I know.
Is there anything in the show that you liked?
Not really, no. The thing about that, though, like, he's perfect at everything. He never messes up. And he's exactly like an isekai protagonist.
It felt kind of
too powerful.
It felt kind of Sherlockish to me, honestly. That was more my vibe.
Yeah.
Have I mentioned I really like Sherlock? So that didn't bother me.
I do like Sherlock as well, but I didn't like that about this, because he felt like to put it in a video game, in a gamer way, his stats were way too high in every category. Like, there was no balance to his build.
The only thing that bothered me about him, is at the very end. He's been like the super reliable dude through this whole time. He's been a good egg, and he's helping people, I'm assuming, to like cash in favors or whatever, but it's beside the point. He's still helping people. And then we get to the last episode, the last lines of the last episode, and he's just like, I hate everybody, and everyone is a tool in my plan to reach Class A, even though he's been saying this entire time he does not want to be an A.
Well, he has to be an A because the teacher blackmailed him into it, basically.
Yeah, because he had that.
But like, they also don't explain any of that in season 1, which they should.
Well, they did make a comment. They made an off comment that it was his father.
Oh, did they?
There was exactly one line in the final episode where they're like, "That man, your father, asked us to hold you back," or whatever, something like that. Or no.
Oh, that line. No, that didn't say his father. It said somebody asked us to expel you.
No, it was after that. It was literally at the very end when he goes to talk to the teacher for the last time, right before meeting he main girl on the dock in like the last like 10 minutes.
Okay, I don't remember that.
It was literally a throwaway line. It would have been so easy to miss, but I'm pretty certain they said it was his father was the man who asked them to expel him.
But also, the fact that that's brought up once in a throwaway line. As you said, a guy who thought this show was okay.
This is something I can admit. They had a lot of things that they developed for a season 2, but at the expense of paying off on pretty much anything in season 1.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the problem with this, I think, is that if you can set up things for season 2, as long as the majority of the things you set up is in season 1.
Yeah, and they did resolve some of the season 1 setup, and by that I mean they resolved the island arc. The show, in my mind, was split into like 3 sections. There's the first 6 episodes where there's like many things happening, and there's establishment things happening, and there's like 2 or 3 episodes of like hard filler, and then there's the final arc, which all takes place on the island, and that's 4 episodes.
Yeah.
Because there was this weird filler episode where they're trying to put cameras in the girls' locker room for some reason, and it was just kind of there.
Oh, that's something I wanted to mention as well. That part right there, that part pissed me off. But because of when I was watching later, in episode 10 is when one of the girls gets her underwear stolen, right?
Yes.
And all the boys are like, why would you even suspect us? Why would we do something like that? When they were literally trying to like install cameras in the girls' changing room, and Horikita knew about it.
Yeah.
Because Ayano Koji told her about it so that she could help stop it.
Yeah, I think Horikita was the only girl who knew about that because they kept it pretty under wraps.
Yeah, I mean maybe, but like also she knew about it. But also, why would the guys be so like? Why do you think it's just the guys who would steal the underwear? Come on. Why would it be one of the girls?
I mean, I think it was mostly because they were lashing out because they knew it wasn't them in this instance. Like, see, here's the other thing though. I absolutely was like, no, there's no way it's Ibuki. She's just kind of there. And I'll admit, yeah, I was probably mildly dumb for not catching on to any of that.
Mildly.
But, okay, we don't need to stoop to insults here, my guy.
Okay, I guess we'll be nice in this instance. Because it was not mildly. It was pretty clear. Because, especially with the expression that one guy made when he found it in his bag, it was clear it wasn't him.
I knew it had been planted on him, so I knew there was a spy. Yeah. But for some reason, the fact that there was a spy and the fact that Ibuki was there, in my brain just didn't connect. I'm like, no, Ibuki's clear her innocence. There's someone else from Class C messing with them. Not my brightest moment.
No, I would say that's one of your dimmest, actually.
Okay.
Because, hey, look, I'm saying that's your dimmest.
You know, I didn't sign up for this to be bullied.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, I think with that, let's take our break.
Yeah, that's come back. Fair. I need to figure out how to compose myself. I did not expect this much raw anger from Seaweed over this show.
I made sure not to tell you anything.
You definitely did. And I would like to clarify, the fact that you gave this a 2, I have given 1 2 ever. I've only placed 1 2. This show does not remotely compare to the only 2 I've placed.
I mean, I've seen worse shows, but this one, oh man. All right, but we'll get into that more when we get back after this quick break.
After this break. Woo!
Welcome back to A Shot of Weeb, where we're talking about a garbage TV show that both me and Wob agree on.
It's not that bad.
It's very, very bad. Okay. All right. So the thing I wanted to bring up here before we get, because I think the island arc is the big arc of the show, right?
The last 3 to 4 episodes all take place on an island, and so that's the last gig. And we're about ready to move there, but there's the thing that angry Seaweed man wants to bring up.
Yeah. So if you remember, if you've been listening to this episode, episode 5, I said that in my notes I wrote boring Danganronpa. And that's all I wrote for both episode 5 and 6. I combined that into one section. The only 2 words I wrote for those. And because that's exactly what it was. It was basically a trial, but it was boring. And it was also trying to be like Danganronpa because it had quirky characters.
I mean, there was one other thing in that episode. We get the resolution of Sakura's arc.
Yeah, okay, who cares?
Sakura's
Then she just becomes a basic one-note character that's in love with... Have you seen that meme where it's like... girl asks anime protagonist, can you pass this salt shaker? Yeah, sure, pass the salt shaker. Oh my god, I think I need to marry him. Have you ever seen that meme?
No.
Because that's exactly what her character arc felt like. Anyways, in episode 7, okay? In episode 7, Horikita has an alarm clock, right? That's like a teddy bear.
With one red eye.
Did that remind you of anything?
No, it didn't.
So that's exactly like Monokuma. Okay? And
I mean, it was
thing.
brown, though. It was a brown bear.
But still, the one red eye, that's a pretty significant thing. Especially since it was the left eye of the bear. Like, of the bear itself, it would be the left eye. If you're looking at it head on, it would be the right eye. Which is how Monokuma is exactly, okay? Now, here's something that's interesting. So I went to see who directed this show. And the director of the show, his name is Seiji Kishi.
This man did his research.
He's a pretty popular... Yes, I did. I did research on this. He's a pretty popular director. He's made a lot of things that I love. But actually, there's 2 directors of this anime.
Uh-huh.
The other director, his name is... hold up. I'm pulling it up now. I got it. It's... Oh, please load. My internet's garbage. Okay. His name is Horiyuki Hashimoto.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Horiyuki Hashimoto has also made things that I love. In note, Gochumon wa Usugi desu ka, or Is the Order of Rabbit. He directed both seasons of that show and all the specials. And I really liked that show. It was a really nice slice of life. And he's directed quite a few other things as well. But Seiji Kishi, he's the interesting one. Because some of his shows are my absolute favorites, right? Like, he was the director of Angel Beats, one of my all-time favorite shows. He is also the director of Persona 4, the animation. One of my all-time favorite games. And as well, he was the chief director of Persona 4, the Golden animation. He was also the director of Ansatsu Kyoshitsu 2, and I believe season 1.
I've seen that one, if it's the one I think it is.
It's Assassination Classroom.
I've seen that one.
It's one of your favorites.
It is.
And here's where he's also
so
the
we've got a
Tsuki,
good director.
He's also the director of Tsuki ga Kire. I really like that show. It's not one of my favorites, but I really like that show. But here's where things get interesting, right?
Mm-hmm. Is this tangent going to go anywhere?
He's also the director of Danganronpa the animation, as well as all of the Danganronpa 3 seasons.
So he put a reference in his anime. I don't see what the problem is.
At episode 5 and 6, you might remember that I said this felt like a boring Danganronpa. I picked up on his directorial cues as how he directs an anime.
Directorial cues.
I love Danganronpa, the anime. I love all the anime adaptations. I know most people don't like 3, but I really like 3.
I want to watch 3 soon. I will get to it now that I've finished the games.
You really
I finished the games except for UDG.
Except for what?
Despair Girls. I haven't played Despair Girls.
Oh yeah, you need to play that as well. Have you watched the adaptation of the first game?
No, and it's not high on my list. I'm not big on adaptation anime. That's why I haven't seen the Persona anime.
I haven't really watched the Persona anime either, but Danganronpa the animation is what got me into Danganronpa. I watched that all in one night. I really like that show. Even now after playing the game, I still like that show. I know a lot of people don't. And I got
into the Danganronpa games because of a mutual friend. You know exactly who it is.
I do.
Yeah.
And I also like Danganronpa 3, which a lot of people don't like.
I'll watch it. I thought you meant V3. You should finish that game. I want to talk to you about it.
I should finish that game.
Go now.
But here's the thing, right? I was able to tell from 5 and 6, maybe because it was a trial thing, that it felt like Danganronpa.
Yeah, because it was like a courtroom aesthetic while they were trying Pseudo out.
And that alarm clock is what prompted me to look up who directed this show.
When was the alarm clock in?
Episode 7. At the beginning of episode 7. which is also episode 7 is one of my least favorite episodes of the entire show.
Episode 7 had one of my favorite stupid interactions where the main man calls main girl calls her, she hangs up, calls her, she hangs up, calls her. She answers, "Do you want to go to the pool?" Click. It's so dumb, but I loved it.
That was fine. That was alright. That was probably one of my most enjoyable points of this show. But that's also
Can't you tell when you've been rejected? Do you want to swim? But he had a reason. We found out later he had a reason for that request.
We did. But that teddy bear is what prompted me to go look at this. Oh, I just hit my computer.
Oh, good choice. Don't do that again.
Oh, boy. Okay. We're really feeling it now, boys.
Oh, boy. I just got a mic stock, a mic arm thing, and I'm going to have a proper microphone in it, and I can't wait to find out how many times I'm going to bump the bloody thing when we're recording.
I don't hit the microphone as often. I hit the desk more, but I've drank the most tonight than any other episode.
I usually just spill alcoholic lemonade on my notes like an idiot.
I spilled stuff before we started recording, but I didn't say anything because I'm a smart boy.
You've just said something which revokes your smart boy card.
Damn it. Anyways, okay, so the alarm clock is what prompted me to look up who worked on this show, and that's how I found out that it was the same director as Danganronpa.
Yeah, Monokuma exists in this world. It's canon now.
And I believe that it's the source material's fault and not the directors and the people who worked on the anime's fault as to why this show's so bad. Because, I think there's some terrible choices when it comes to this show. In episode 7, it really kind of highlights those really terrible choices for me. Specifically, episode 7 is when they had all that text on the screen at once. Describing every character. Do you remember that?
I figured that was just kind of because 7 felt like one of the filler episodes to me. And I felt like that was sort of that, mid-episode trope of, here, let's summarize every character that you already know because it's the middle episode. Yeah, it's even Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood had one of those, I think, where they did, this recap episode. I hate recap episodes.
Okay,
I really do.
But also, hey, how long is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood?
It's like a 50-episode show.
64 episodes, I think. Whereas this show was 12.
I don't know. You might have forgotten characters after 4 episodes.
And also, why did they need to put all the text on the screen?
Yeah, they also didn't, leave it up for long enough. Well, actually, no. Never mind. I take that back. It's because I can't read Japanese. I can't read that much kanji.
But, why did they need to put that on there? I think that was one of the worst decisions I've ever seen. It pissed me off so much. At that point, they'd already done a couple characters. I was only 5 minutes in, and I said, I'm only 5 minutes in, and already this is the episode I hate the most. And luckily, no other episode went below this one. This was the worst episode by far. This was the episode at the pool, and where they were installing cameras.
I did pause and read the little blurbs because they had some info that I hadn't gathered. They sort of established everyone's role within the hierarchy, which hadn't been proper fully stated, I guess. It gave me a good reminder on some of the lesser characters that I wasn't as familiar with.
But you shouldn't have to do that. You should be able to get that from the way this show is written.
Yeah, because one of the characters that had the blurb was actually the first character that I wrote down was Hirata, but he didn't really do much until the island arc. But he had a blurb in this episode, which I thought was pretty helpful because
Which one is that?
Blonde into Green. He's the one that took the initiative during introductions and was like, "Hey, let's all make friends with each other because we're in class."
The guy in class D who's the goody two shoes.
Yeah, he's the only one that the girls trust when they make off with the underwear.
Gotcha. Okay, that guy. Yeah, which didn't make any sense either. Of all the people, there's more people in the class to trust than him, I would imagine, because I haven't met more than half. I've only met 3 or 4 of the characters in the class.
No, I feel like we indirectly met most of Class D in a similar style to Assassination Classroom, actually, where a lot of the characters are there, but not super important.
Yeah, but Assassination Classroom, I at least remembered their faces.
That's That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. I didn't
But
remember
like,
any of these characters' faces.
but yeah, they do that. They give everybody the blurbs. It's a little weird because even I wrote that down. I wrote down the profiles. I have a note that says yeet, and I don't remember what yeet is. No, it's the super wholesome bit at the end of the pool. Look, there was one bit at the end that kind of warmed my heart a little bit when they like actually start to be social for a little bit because they're all by the pool. And I remember why I wrote down yeet because main character like shoves main girl into the pool.
It's
Horikita yoinks her, yeets her into the pool. She yoinks him into the pool, and then Pseudo and his boys want in, and the talkative girl wants in, and the shy girl wants in, and they all hop in the pool, and they all have a good time, and it was adorable, and I loved it because they're all being friends.
Yeah, and then the next episode, that all gets negated, and they're not friends anymore.
I mean, yeah, but it was cute regardless.
Yeah, but like it didn't like go into any other episode, which like negated all the cuteness for me. Because if you're gonna do that scene, like it's the same thing that happened in the last show, where like in Tejuna Senpai, when she says, "I think we all grow closer," and then the main character,
it's just like, says, "No, you're an idiot."
No. Yeah, he just says no.
I feel like this kind of
in the next episode it didn't. Nothing happened.
I feel like this kind of speaks to the difference between the two of us and our reviewing styles, because like we already had this conversation about how you were surprised I, of all people, asked to do a review cast, because we're sitting here, we're looking into the show, we're digging into the show, and you're like, I don't know, these themes didn't carry over, and the characters were weak, and they were very trope heavy, and they blah, 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 and they did this and they did this, and I'm just like, yeah, but it was cute though.
I mean, I like my cute my cute shows. Don't get me wrong. I like Is the Order a Rabbit, and that's all slice of life cute girl thing. But like this show wasn't the main point of it. It was like a psychological drama.
Yeah, which I really dug, but then the wholesome interludes, in my opinion, were even that much more pleasant because there's all this like dark, grim, why is everyone being shady? And then we get this moment of like chill, and I'm just like, okay, I dig this. I'm vibing to this.
That would be nice if it carried over, but it doesn't carry over. It never carries over, and it's always just...
I legitimately thought it did. I thought it did for a while, actually, because Ayano, Koji, and Horikita, like, hang out, like, a lot. They're, like, together at all the times, and it feels like they're growing together, which is why I didn't like at the end of episode 12 when she's all stammering and it's clear like she's wanting to legitimately consider him an ally, and he's just like, people are tools and I hate her, and I'm like, no, you've just built all this up. That's something I had a complaint about.
Well, that's another way it's set back to neutral.
That I did complain about. I will grant you that one, and I didn't like that because I liked how close Ayano Koji and Hori main girl were getting.
Yeah, I don't remember. Horikita, I think. Anyways, one thing I wanted to mention before we continued was in the pool episode 7. That Morse code bit they kept doing was awful.
It was so stupid, and I loved it. They were doing Morse code by pointing their thumb or pointer finger to be presumably dots or dashes. Or,
yeah.
Those words.
Dashes or dots.
Same thing. And then randomly semaphore flags? Like, how is that subtle?
Well, this flag thing, I don't know how that was subtle, but it's like that's like what they do with
no,
ships,
I know
right?
what semaphore flags are for, but there's no way that's...
Wait, like that's what they're called? I thought that she was just flag signals. I didn't know it had a name.
I'm pretty sure that's semaphore flags.
Okay, I'll take your word on it, dude. I don't know.
But Morse, that can be pretty subtle because they're just doing it with their fingers. But this dude just like leans out the window and starts freaking waving flags around. That's not going to raise alarms at all.
No, but like the thing I hated about it most, and the reason I really hated it by the end of the episode, is that they took the time to do every single character. And by the end of the episode, like there's a point where Ayano Koji, he sees it and he's like, he reacts to it before we get to see what the whole thing is, but we know by context clues what they said. So like the thing I hated most was like we knew there was a way for them to have done that, and the other person be able to understand it before we got the full like written thing in subtitles.
Mm-hmm.
because it was in subtitles in Japanese too.
Yeah, because they were popping up in Japanese.
It felt like a way to elongate to like lengthen the episode.
Yeah, because it did feel because they were like popping up a letter at a time as they signed them, and it's just kind of that did drag a little.
It took forever, and they did it so often. It felt like there wasn't enough content to fill an episode, and they had to figure out a way to extend it to hit that 22-minute mark. Oh boy.
Potentially, I didn't really get that vibe per se.
That was my vibe, and it really pissed me off, especially by the time Ayano Koji could understand them.
Yeah. Oh, it did.
Yeah.
The pool episode did have one cool thing, though, and it's when we see that Class A is, like, thoroughly divided into two camps. Or wait, no, that wasn't Class A. That was one of the two Class A gangs. Class A is split. That was one of the two Class A gangs.
Yeah, Class A is split, and one of the halves of the split is not built upon at all.
Yeah, there's two halves of Class A. There's a girl with a cane and a cute hat, and there's a girl and there's freaking Mr. Clean.
Yeah, Mr. Clean, buff, bald dude.
Yeah, and so the girl is like playing chess and doing things, and then Mr. Clean is the one who's relevant for like the later part of the show in the island arc. But there's like this weird clash between the Cane Girls group and Class C's gang, because between C and A, there's like three like gangs of New York sort of tribes.
Yeah, there's three gangs,
and it's clear they've got kingpins, whose names I do not remember any of them. It's Cane Girl, it's Shady Man, and it's Mr. Clean.
So it's Sakayanagi is the girl, and then you have
yes.
Oh wait, I can't. Oh,
was it Ryuen?
Maybe.
I think it was Ryuen. That's what it looks like.
Let me go.
Was the Class C guy, and then Mr. Clean is not on the characters page we're using for some reason, even though he was relevant for the
let me look on
island
the
arc.
other characters page. It's loading now. My internet's really bad.
I think it was Ryuen was the Class C gang, and Sakayanagi was one of the two Class A gangs.
Katsuragi was the bald guy.
Katsuragi was Mr. Clean. That's right, because Katsuragi is the one who does stuff during the island arc. Sakayanagi does not. Which is another thing that I hope they develop on if there's a later season. Given that the show's 3 years old, I'm assuming there's not. If there's a later season, I hope they develop on Sakayanagi.
If you want to know more, read the light novel. If not, then don't.
I might eventually if I get around to reading things.
Is that what you said? Ryuen?
Ryuen, yeah. Kakeru Ryuen.
Yeah, he's the guy from Class C.
He's the Class C gang leader, yes. So should we just talk about the island arc? Should we just finish off with the island arc?
Yeah, let's just finish off with the island arc, because I don't have a lot more else to say.
You just have nothing but hatred. We know.
It's so bad. I've already talked about this underwear stealing bit.
So they go on a cruise ship, and they're on the cruise ship, and they do cruise ship things, and they're like, "Hey, look at this island," and everyone's like, "Wow, it's an island." And then they drop them on the island, and they're like, "Hey, what gives?" And they like survive for 7 days. 7 days.
So it was 8 days.
It was 8 days. So they're on an island, they have to survive, they lose points if anyone taps out. People can go back to the boat and live there and just tap out, but the group loses points for it.
Yeah.
Because you have like a small allotment of special points that get added onto the class points when everything's over.
Yeah, it's if you can guess the other person's leader and like some other stuff, but if they guess your leader, then you won't get any bonus points.
Yeah, I'll admit I lost track of exactly how that worked. And yes, if they guess your leader, you are not eligible for any bonus points.
Very well. They didn't explain it very well. That's why you lost track of it.
I knew that
have track on the first place.
I knew that guessing a leader got you 50. Getting your leader guessed lost you 50. But I didn't realize that getting your leader guessed lost your eligibility for like everything else.
Yeah, I didn't either until the last episode because they didn't explain that.
That's also fair. But yes, each class had to elect a leader, and they had to figure out who the leaders were because you get bonus points and deny them points if you guess who their class leader is. There's also locations that you can occupy that the leader has to occupy every 8 hours by swiping a card to gain some extra points.
Yeah, which only the leader can do.
Yes. and so people have to like obfuscate that. And so they all go to the island. 3 of the gangs try hard. Class C spends all their money and then goes back to the boat.
Yep. Except for the one who's at their camp. I don't remember her name, and I don't really care enough.
It was Ibuki. It was nearly Miyota Ibuki. It's Mio Ibuki.
Okay. Her, who is at Class D's camp. The boy who is at Class B's camp. And
the class leader who stayed hidden on the island.
Yeah, which was pretty obvious.
I fell for it. I thought they all went back to the boat except for the 2 people who were isolated.
So much.
Like, I knew the 2 people who had been isolated from C stayed with the camps, but I thought everybody else just noped out. Because, like, their leader was partying on the beach, too. And I'm like, okay, so they're just not trying.
Yeah, but it was clear that he was, like, actually, like, I don't know. I could tell by his voice actor that he didn't actually, like, wasn't going to give up. I don't know. Like, he had this kind of voice that was, like, it was, like, deep and, like, reassuring. And also, because he was a faction leader, I didn't think he would just give up on, like, and, like, become last over Class D. I thought he would try to beat at least Class D by, like, staying.
No, I absolutely thought they tapped out because I'm a simple man and just let it go by. I just let it happen. And so the other 3 classes, they do their survival thing, and there's, like, there's a panty raid that gets a bunch of people angry.
Oh, before that, when they first go on the island, this is one thing I wanted to mention that I really didn't like, is that throughout this entire show, all of the girls and, like, the female characters, they really get talked down to.
They really do. I'll admit, that made me big and uncomfortable. I know that, from what I understand, I gather that Japan is not, like, as progressive in that sense as, like, the States. Yeah. I could be wrong, but that's the vibe I got.
Uh-huh.
It still felt a little uncomfortable for my Western ears for them to be like, oh, carrying those sticks must be difficult for a girl. And it's just like...
That wasn't even the worst part for me. The worst part was the whole...
The toilet argument?
Was the whole toilet argument, yeah. Because the girls were like, oh no, we need this toilet that's in this separate room. And all the boys were like, no, we can just use one cardboard toilet.
We can just use the portable thing. And they're like, no, that's too difficult.
Well, like, even I would be like, oh, that's a little messed up. One toilet?
Just pee on a tree. Like, what's the big deal?
Like, also, like, well, no, also, like, why don't you get at least 2 toilets? Because in case somebody needs to go at the same time.
There's points for littering in the environment. Would peeing on a tree count as littering the environment?
Well, peeing is different, right? But, like, peeing is different for boys and girls. I understand that. But also, like... Why I don't understand why the guys were so adamant about only needing one reusable cardboard toilet. And
because they didn't want to spend money.
Why the girls? Yeah, but the girls, like, acted like they needed this, like, big. Like,
they acted like they were gonna die if they didn't get a full out porta potty.
Right. I mean, I will give, like, there's one character who's like, well, I don't think I'll need it, but, like, a lot of the girls here can't live without it, and it's like also like. Why?
Yeah, that was a little weird. Like,
I didn't like that at all, and it really, like, I think that was the best example of, like, the show talking down at, like, women the whole time.
Yeah, they did do that for points, which was very uncomfortable.
And, like, most of the girls were like a lot weaker than the boys, which I didn't like. Which is another, like,
unfortunately, I feel like that's the thing they do in, like, a lot of anime though. Like, I noticed that in other ones as well.
Well, there is, like, in some, yeah, but, like, also, like, in the reason I think I noted it the most is because before this I noticed it was, like, Danganronpa and, like, the same director, and Danganronpa has these, like, strong, capable, like, women, like, strong.
Yeah, we got freaking Ogami who can just, like, bench press anyone.
Well, like, I was about to say, like, yeah, like, it's strong in a physical sense, but also strong, like, mentally.
Definitely.
Whereas none of these girls seemed, like, strong physically or mentally. Except maybe Horikita.
I dropped something under my desk and I have no clue where it's gone.
Nice. I've been hiccuping, so, like, have fun with this edit.
Yeah, we're having a bad time.
I've had so much to drink. This is the most out of any episode. I hope I'm embodying the drunk podcast right now.
I mean, I've had as much as I always do. I know what the appropriate amount is for me. That's why I haven't drank any brands aside from the same one I'm used to, because I know that specific brand at that specific side gets me to the right point.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I almost fell asleep like 10 minutes ago.
That would have been...
My eyes were closed.
Hilarious, actually.
My eyes were closed for like 5 minutes. It was great. It was very nice. I can't wait to go to sleep after I record this, and I don't have to edit.
I am going to be up for several more hours.
Yeah, but your sleep schedule is so messed up.
I'm theoretically being problematic by drinking for this recording. We record at like 10 p.m., but 10 p.m. is middle of the day for me. Like I wake up at like 1.
Yeah, but like I go to sleep like right after we finish recording.
You
because,
wake
like, our
up.
Sleep schedules.
You wake up in the morning about the same time I go to bed.
It's so bad, but like also it like fits your work schedule, so I understand.
Yeah, because I work nights.
Yeah, I don't. I just like I'm so drunk.
Oh
boy!
dear.
All right.
What were we talking about?
I can't wait to release this. We were on the island arc, and I was talking about how much I hated how much they talked down to girls, but I think we got done with that.
Yeah, we finished that. They ragged on the girls a lot, and then they elected Hori main girl as the leader.
Yeah.
And
what's her name in Danganronpa? Is it Katsuragi?
I'm sorry, what?
What's the girl, the ultimate detective in
Kyoko Kirigiri? The best girl?
Kirigiri. Yeah, she not the best girl, but okay.
Kyoko Kirigiri is the best waifu. I will fight you on that.
Yeah, I know you will, and I'll beat your ass. Oh boy, I'm so drunk. Why? Oh god. Yeah, she seemed like Kirigiri.
She did. She definitely gave off Kirigiri vibes because I mean I like her for the same kind of reasons as she's being mysterious or whatever. I know it's probably cliched, but I dig it. Okay, man. Probably,
but also like, I mean, I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt. You know, you haven't seen as much anime as I have. I've watched a lot more than you have, so you know.
So I'm not as full of anger as you are.
Yeah, I really hate it.
I'm a less cranky individual.
I'm a lot happier now, but I've had a lot to drink.
I feel good right now too. I feel good.
Oh man, I'm terrified to listen to this back.
I still haven't listened to the last episode. I'm scared of how it'll go because I was not in as chill a set as here. So we're on the island, okay? We're on the island and they're doing things and they're like surviving. They go to like visit a cave that they scouted out on the first night that Class A was in, and Class A is like
Sakura and Iono Kid.
It was the main guy and main girl.
No, it was Sakura.
No, when they first went, it was Sakura, but when they went back to like actually go into the cave, it was main guy, main girl. Yes, and they were like, "Hey, can we see the cave?" And they're like, "Yeah, but we'll probably kill you."
And then she was like, "But it's not against the rules. So if you use violence, then that's against the rules."
And they were like, "Yeah, but we have sticks." And they like surround them holding branches.
Yeah, and she was like, "Yeah, but we have a rule book." But which then the main character burned.
Which they know about, and then the rulebook catches fire, and everyone's like, "Who sets fire to a rulebook?"
Oh, spoilers, sorry.
They set fire to a rulebook. We don't know why. And then we get to the final episode. I'm scared. I'm probably blazing past this way too much. They do a lot of things in the forest. They do things.
Yeah, whatever.
Freaking Gaston swings through the trees like Tarzan and then nopes back out to the boat like 2 hours later. And loses Class D a bunch of points for it.
30 points. I remember that number. It was 30 points if you said you were sick or whatever.
He just taps out because he's lazy. And there's the same man who like walks around after taking a shower with all the water on him. He explicitly says, "I don't wipe down because I sparkle gloriously," or whatever it was. And
yeah, he's kind of like he
stares into a mirror for like half of his screen time.
Yeah, he's the definition of narcissism.
100%. Like that was the only. He has no other development. None at all. He just looks in a mirror and then taps out when they go into the jungle. That's the only things he do. That's all he do.
Yep, that's it. That's all he do.
Because he was shown in, like, the first episode looking into a mirror, and he comes back in, like, episode 7 looking into a mirror, and in the jungle arc, he looks in a mirror and nopes out. That's it.
Yeah, and, like, that's one of the things, like, he's another... It's the same problem I had with every other character. He's very one note, and he's very tropey.
I mean, he wasn't a main character. He can get away with it.
No, he wasn't a main character, but he could have been an interesting character.
I'm not so sure.
But they didn't... Here's the thing, right? I would say that in Danganronpa, Byakuya is a pretty narcissistic character in Danganronpa 1.
Yeah,
but he's one of the most interesting characters, I would say. I know he's a dick, but he's one of the most interesting characters.
Yeah, and then I remember, and then I played DR2, and Byakuya's here again. And I'm like, wait.
Yeah,
but that's
don't
beside the
spoil.
point.
No spoilers. No spoilers. No spoilers.
That's not even spoilers. I didn't say the spoilers is part of it. There's another Byakuya.
Oh god, I'm so drunk.
Stop saying it. We get it.
You're the editor.
I can't edit this. It won't flow.
Anyways, we're
They're on the island.
They're on the island. Episode 12.
The episode
Let's
12.
Just get to the
Let's
end
just
of the
talk
show.
about episode 12.
Episode 12. These are my 2 notes. These are my 2 notes.
What are your 2 notes?
1.
Where's
I
my
figured
notes?
everything out before they said Class D1.
I figured out none of it. I figured out literally none of it. I'm like, Class A owned it because Class...
Really? Even the like how they kept showing in the anime, how they kept showing how that one branch was tied with a cloth.
Yeah, I didn't know what that meant. I thought they had put like a hunting trap there or something.
Oh god. Okay. Well, my other note was Kushida's hidden personality is not important to the story and doesn't come up after the first time. That part from not to time is all in caps. I just didn't want to scream because it's really late. I don't want to wake up anybody.
Yeah, so like that didn't really come back. I didn't catch on to Class D pulling it out of their ass. I didn't catch on to Class C like whiffing the whole thing.
That's
Wait,
no.
no. I remembered what the one thing I did catch up on it. I did remember the only thing I called out ahead of time in this entire show. The only thing I beat to the punch was them swapping leadership to main guy. That was the only thing.
Oh, that was so obvious.
That was the only thing I caught on to.
That was one of the only 2 rules they said when they got to the island.
Because they were like, you can swap leaders if you have a good reason. And he brought their leader, the main girl, and dropped her off because she was sick. And I'm like, oh, they're gonna make him leader.
As soon as she said she was sick, I knew they were gonna swap leadership.
I didn't catch on to it. I didn't catch on to it at that point. I didn't catch.
At least you caught on to it.
Yeah, when they dropped her off to the teacher and they're like, you're gonna lose points. I'm like, oh, they're gonna transfer leadership. That was the only single item in this entire show that I caught on to ahead of time. I am really easy to fool, okay?
Yep, that's why you got me. I got to tell you everything. I'm a genius.
This podcast is just you explaining shows to me.
Oh boy, please. Oh man, when I'm drunk I can explain anything.
You know what? Someday you can tell me how Dead Leaves makes any sense, but that's beside the point.
Oh, we should do that for an episode. That'd be so fun.
We should not.
A 45-minute OVA for an hour and a half long to 2-hour podcast.
But anyway, because they switched leader, C and A, Class C and Class A had like worked together to figure out who everybody was, and then they like hardcore whiffed it, and Class D got both A and C's correct. They didn't spy on B because they want to be friends with B because Class B is chill. It's only A and C that are aggressive.
I do want to say that I did laugh when Class C said they came in last and got 0 points. I thought that was so funny. I laughed
because he was so confident. He's like, we owned the entire thing. We made this deal to put us in advance.
Only time the show made me laugh, and I don't think maybe that was intentional. I don't know if it was. Hey, good job, show.
Class B could have won that though. Class B could have just like bought winning, because that's another thing that was established earlier is you can buy like test scores. They do that on like episode 3. Pseudo fails a test.
Anything.
Pseudo fails a test, so they just like straight up bribe the teacher to make him pass.
Yeah. Well, the main character, I don't even care about his name anymore. Whatever. Ayano Kiji.
Ayano Kuji, something like that.
My eyes aren't even open right now. Anyways, he says he tells the teacher, "Hey, I want to buy 1 more point so he can pass." And the teacher says, well, okay, but like it's gonna cost this much, and Ayano Koji doesn't have that much, and then whatever Kirigiri comes over and says, well, this is, I'll pay too, and then they pay for his 1 point.
And they split up to get Sudo's 1 point so he doesn't fail.
Which I was kind of surprised the teacher didn't like make the money go up.
No, because she'd already enlisted a point. That's like she'd already given her a price. That's an honor thing. I can get that. But like at the end, like Class B totally could have bought the end because like the popular girl of Class B has like millions of yen for some reason.
Over 2 million. Over 2 million.
Over 2 million, and we don't really know why. That's another one of those. That's another one of those two-sided characters.
How did you get so many points? And we don't know anything about her character except that she's the nice blonde girl.
Because like main character is shifty because we don't know his past. I dropped my notes. I don't care.
Yeah, my notes are on my computer.
Cute girl is shifty because she goes angry. Shy girl is shifty because she's not shy. And then popular girl is shifty because she's rich, I guess, and must be pulling things behind the scenes.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know.
That makes the most sense.
As we have this discussion, I'm realizing there's much less I can defend about this show, but I am still holding firm on my rating exclusively because I legitimately want there to be more because I want the things they built up to pay off. I want to know where this goes.
I just don't like... I think it's fine to build up things for a second season, but when
all of it is build up and no payoff.
Exactly. When your second season isn't guaranteed, that's when I have the big problem.
I mean, I can't complain about that too much because, like, I absolutely love Konosuba. Konosuba is one of my favorite shows. And, like, it just drops off.
It has so much payoff in season 1.
Well, no, but let me finish. It just, like, drops off because season 2, like, they don't really contain seasons. They just, like, stop making episodes when they run out of season and start making again. And so season 2 stops on, like, a straight-up cliffhanger, and season 3 never happened.
But they got the movie.
I forgot to watch the movie.
Konosuba's a comedy show, not a drama.
Yes, they can get away with a lot more.
Which
Where was I going with this?
You can get away with more. I don't know.
I don't remember either, okay?
You were talking about like going places with a show, and then you brought up Konosuba for some reason.
But in response to your point, I want there to be more of the show. I don't think I can argue the show as hard as I wanted, but then again, I'm also not quite so good as building a rage-filled argument as someone in this Discord call.
Be Seaweed. But also, like, I don't think you liked this show enough to be able to defend it. Like,
that's fair. Like, it was very middle of the road.
If we were to like give like a show somehow, if at some point, I hope this happens because this would be so fun, where one of us thinks the show is absolute garbage, like 1 or a 2, and the other person thinks it's like a 9 or a 10. I think that would be so much fun because we would be able to have like a proper debate.
Yeah, because I'm not near as good at building a discussion as this is, as you are. Like this is something I
don't think you cared enough about the show.
Yeah, this is very middle of the road. It's not Domestic Girlfriend. I will fight tooth and claw to argue that Domestic Girlfriend is great.
And I think when we get to that one, I feel like when we get to that one, because I know it's like kind of it's like Thanos.
I will make us watch that show at some point, but I want to wait until until we have like a solid grasp of what we're doing, because we're still developing the show a bit.
We're experimenting, and that's fun, and that's fine, and it's fun.
It's great, but I want us to have a solid grasp of what we're doing before we touch one of my absolute favorite shows.
Oh, for sure, and like I think. That's with some other shows that I have planned down the road. That's definitely what I want to do too. Though being on Kokochikyu Boy Blue Love was definitely an exception.
You just wanted to get that one. Show. I would never have watched that show, and I would have been fine with it.
Hey, we'll watch season 2 at some point.
Do we want to? Why don't we just? I think we kind of spoiled this like 2 minutes into the episode, but why don't we give our final thoughts and start closing out with this?
Garbage. Absolute trash. Don't watch this show under any circumstances. It's so bad. I hate it so much.
Give your like TLDR. You have like 3 minutes and I'll take over. Go for it, my guy.
Okay, so the show it tries to be psychological, but everything is like you can really deduce everything that happens before it happens. It's so simple. It's such a simple show. Watch Death Note instead. Everything about Death Note is better. I actually read Death Note. Death Note manga is the perfect manga. It's 10 out of 10. My favorite psychological thriller ever. But like this show's garbage. Don't watch this show. It's got so much bad in it, and the OP sucks. The EDs is boring. Every
loved the OP.
The first note I wrote, the ED is boring.
The ED was boring, but I loved the OP. I dug the OP.
The OP, like the song was fun, but the visuals sucked.
I like the visuals. I like moving text. Okay, I've done a lot of.
I've done it so many times.
I've done a lot of moving text things like through college courses. I'm a graphics editor. That's like my jam. And so I see all of the like pictures and the words moving and I'm just like, this is my shit and I love it. I need to stop swearing. I'm sorry.
This is my 3 minutes.
Yes, take your 3 minutes. I will stop interjecting with my bad language. Go for it.
Every note I said about the character, the first thing I wrote was boring because they're all boring. The student council president is the evil twin of Naruyuki Yuiga from We Never Learn, and he's boring. Everybody's boring. Don't watch this show. It's garbage. Watch something better. Watch Being on Kokoshiki Boibu Love.
That's
or watch
not
the
a better
show we're going to watch for next episode because it's going to be a banger.
We'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll get to that.
Your turn, Wob.
I hold nowhere near as much aggression as this man. But I can't say I'm on fire for the show either. I am very much 100% excited for more of this show if it ever happens. If a second season of this show happens, I will watch it. I want to know where it goes very badly. But I don't think I can, in good conscience, recommend this as a standalone show in its current state. I think it was an interesting watch, and it appealed to me. Granted, I mean, according to Seaweed, a lot of the twists were really obvious, but I didn't catch on to them, so I still enjoyed it. I will fully admit, though, I'm not good at picking up on these things. Like, that's why in episode 1 of Shot of Weeb, when I noticed the color change in Gleipnir, I was just like, I picked up on an artistic decision. I'm proud of myself. Because I'm usually absolutely awful at this. Either way, I think the show is fun. I enjoyed my time watching it, and I will watch more if it ever happens. But I don't think it's good enough for me to legitimately recommend to a major person. I think it's a 6 out of 5. It's the medium to low end of an average
6 out of
show.
5?
6 out of 5, clearly. No, I go out of 10. I use the My Anime List rating scale.
I use the AniList.
I don't know what AniList scale is, so I can't gauge that for well. But
you can do a lot of different scales. I use decimals, but like 1 through 10 with decimals. So, you can also do out of 100, which is what out of 10. Lots of different stuff.
Well, let me just say right quick. On My Anime List, it has 1 through 10, and it puts little like notes beside each one, and those notes are what I judge it by. And this is like a 5 or 6 area, which is fine to good, but it's definitely not like way up there, and it's definitely not garbage. I don't despise it as much as Seaweed does, but I don't think it's great. I enjoyed it, but I don't think I recommend it.
2 out of 10. I'm never watching it again.
I have given a 2 out of 10 out of Mal. This does not approach a 2 out of 10. Not remotely.
Like I said, it didn't offend me. But like also everybody that I respect that watched this show, they didn't like it.
The only 2 out of 10 that I have rated
except
physically,
you. I do respect you.
The 2 out of 10 that I rated physically hurt me to watch. This did not hurt me to watch. I still enjoyed the vibe of it. So
what is a 1 gonna be for you if the 2 out of 10 physically?
I mean, I've told you the 2 out of 10. The 2 out of 10 should have been a 1 if it didn't have a good opening. I loved its OP, and that brought it up to a 2 from a 1.
Yeah. That's fair. I remember that now. Okay.
You remember that.
But
I think
yes.
I think you need to recover. You are way more out of it than I am. This shit.
I've drank so much tonight.
I'm a little out of it as well, and I plan to make myself some food.
I've had a whole Mark's Harder.
Mark's Harder?
Yeah, 2 cups of like spiked Arnold Palmer, but like my own Arnold Palmer, so it's got like vodka in it, and like probably a lot more than they put in the like branded spiked Arnold Palmer.
I had 2 mics, which is exactly what I always have. I always do 2 mics harder. That's like my steady amount because I know what it means. Anyway, I believe this is the end of A Shot of Weeb, episode 4 on Classroom of the Elite.
Before we go, I gotta say what next week's episode is because it's my choice.
Yes, and I was getting to that if you didn't cut me off. Would you like to tell our viewers what episode 5 is going to be, you impatient gremlin?
Yes, it is I, the impatient gremlin. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I'm on hands and knees begging for forgiveness.
What are we watching for episode 5?
We're going to be watching Gakko Garashi, or School Live.
School Live!
I really like this show. I know a lot of people who like this show, and I bought this show on Blu-ray. I can't wait to rewatch it. It's been a long time coming.
I've heard of this show personally, and I'm interested to see where it goes. I know like the basics about it, but I haven't seen it, and I'm interested to give it a go.
See, you know the twist, which sucks because your old roommate told you the twist. Oh, man.
Dude, he watches this podcast. We have like 5 viewers, and he's one of them, and you are calling him out.
Gamer, dude, what's up, dude? Hey.
Catch you on the flip side, my dude.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. Hit me up, dude. All right. Well,
we'll be back next week for episode 5 of A Shot of Weeb. Here, theoretically, Saturdays at 5 on YouTube.
God, I hope so.
And an assortment of audio platforms, including Spotify and Anchor and Apple and other things that I've forgotten.
Google Play is for sure right now. Hopefully Apple gets done by the time this one comes. Oh, I almost threw my phone off my desk. Hopefully episode 5 comes out by hopefully episode 5 and Apple are available at the same time.
For now, YouTube and Spotify are the quickest, but we do appear on other platforms.
Yes, we do. Just search us up. We'll have links. I'll have links on my Twitter. Or wait, not Twitter, YouTube channel.
We'll put links in the YouTube description for sure. I will put the link to probably the YouTube at the Anchor page on my Twitter.
Yeah, dude, follow us on Twitter because like
would you like to say your Twitter handle, whatever it's called, thingy?
Oh yeah, mine's at Seaweed AMB. Because I'm the Seaweed ambassador, and AMB is the abbreviation for ambassador. I found that out like a couple years ago. It's pretty cool.
I'm proud of you. I'm at the Epic Wob because my username is the Epic Wob.
Yeah, dude, he needs more followers. Go follow him.
I need to tweet more often, and if I get more people, I will definitely do that. But we will see.
No, dude, tweet first, then get people.
I will tweet first if I remember how Twitter works. I'm an old man when it comes to technology.
I need to make a video.
I need to make a Twitch channel. I've been meaning to do that for ages. We'll catch you next week.
Dude.
I don't have time. I work. We'll catch you next week for A Shot of Weeb. Peace out, my guys. We'll talk to you next time.
I'll see you guys later.
Bye-bye.